Tonight, breaking news, Hurricane Milton now back up to a Category 5 hurricane again, set to slam into Florida. Millions tonight being warned this is their last chance to evacuate. The new forecast just in from the Hurricane Center. Also breaking at this hour just moments ago, the Justice Department saying it has foiled an Election Day terror plot right here in the U.S. First tonight, the race to escape Hurricane Milton, the major storm re-intensifying to a Category 5 with winds now up to 165 miles per hour. Hurricane hunters flying into the eye, rocked by turbulence. Highways jammed with vehicles trying to get out of the path of the hurricane.
If you choose not to evacuate, you do so at your own risk.
Police warning residents time is running out. More than 1,300 gas stations across the state running out of fuel. The potentially historic storm surge up to 15 feet expected to hit the Tampa Bay area. Ginger Zee standing by live in Florida with the new timing of this hurricane when it's now set to hit. Also tonight, former President Trump targeting FEMA again today. And tonight, after false claims and with millions trying to recover, Vice President Kamala Harris blasting the former president for spreading dangerous misinformation, what she said today. The breaking news at this hour, the Justice Department just moments ago saying they have thwarted an alleged terror plot targeting Election Day here in the U.S., what they've just revealed. Tonight, the journalist and author Bob Woodward and his new book, reporting that when the pandemic was raging in this country, then President Donald Trump secretly sent rare COVID test machines to Vladimir Putin for Putin's personal use. And Woodward says Trump and Putin have talked up to a half dozen times since Trump left office. Tonight, what Trump is now saying about this. The spiraling crisis in the Middle East, the Israeli military sending thousands more troops into southern Lebanon. Back here in the U.S., more than a dozen states suing TikTok now, claiming the wildly popular social media platform is intentionally addictive and dangerous to the mental health of children. The mugging, the Dodgers starting pitcher mugged by a mob of thieves what they stole. And tonight we remember a beloved baseball great.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on this Tuesday night. We are watching Hurricane Milton very closely at this hour on its ominous path toward Florida. Late today, back up to a Category 5 now with winds up to 165 miles an hour. Now one of the strongest hurricanes ever recorded in the Gulf. Tonight, millions are now under evacuation orders across Florida. Authorities warning them to get out now. President Biden calling it a matter of life and death. And at this hour, Hurricane Milton is a monster storm. You can see they're about 480 miles from Tampa. The eye is expected to make landfall somewhere in the Tampa Bay area. Of course, this will still wobble a bit in these final hours, set to slam ashore late tomorrow night, right into the early morning hours of Thursday morning, right in the middle of the night, with a record storm surge as high as 15 feet. It could be the first direct hit in Tampa from a major hurricane in more than 100 years. But landfall, as I mentioned, could shift right up to the last minute, and much of the state remains on high alert tonight. A team of hurricane hunters witnessing the force of Milton firsthand, flying into the eye wall to collect data rocked by severe turbulence.
A local emergency currently exists.
And then the warnings today. Police there in Treasure Island, just outside Tampa Bay, driving through neighborhoods with emergency warnings, urging people to evacuate now. And look at this tonight, bumper-to-bumper traffic for miles on I-75. This is near Naples right here. The outer bands of the hurricane arrive tomorrow afternoon. The storm surge right there in Naples could be as high as 8 feet, again up to 15 feet possible in Tampa, which would be a record. Long lines tonight at gas stations, more than 1,300 Florida stations running out of gas. Some tanker trucks racing to refill them. Those trucks are now getting an escort from state police. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee standing by with the new forecast just in from the Hurricane Center. But we begin with Whit Johnson in Tampa with the emergency preparations unfolding right now.
Tonight, mandatory evacuations on both coasts of Florida. Highways jammed. Millions heeding the calls to get out of Hurricane Milton's path before it's too late. Tampa's airport already deserted. Orlando's packed, set to close tomorrow. Authorities filling Tropicana Field with cots, a base camp for first responders. Governor DeSantis mobilizing some 8,000 National Guard troops.
This is probably the largest National Guard mobilization in advance of a storm in Florida history.
The monster hurricane strengthening back into a Category 5 in the Gulf. Hurricane hunters jolted by extreme turbulence as they flew into Milton's eye wall. The storm taking aim at the Tampa metro area, home to more than 3 million people, and hasn't seen a direct hit from a major hurricane in more than 100 years.
Say you're in a single-story home, 12 feet is above that house. So if you're in it, basically that's the coffin that you're in.
Many of the streets here in Tampa are still lined with debris. All of this left over from Hurricane Helene, which came with a record storm surge of up to 8 feet in some places. But if you take a look above from our drone camera, you could just imagine what could happen to these homes with a surge nearly twice as high.
It was above the baseboard.
Tani Tahirai just finished gutting parts of his home after Helene.
This is what's left.
This is what's left out of the house. I was able to salvage.
Now forced to evacuate again with his wife and 3 children.
They're kids. This is their safety, right? This is when they come for safety. So when that's threatened, they're gonna cry. And not just because they lost toys or clothes or their favorite shoes, but they cry because this is their safe zone.
Tampa General Hospital, which treats the area's most critical patients, will remain operational, hoping the aqua fence they used to keep the surge away during Helene will also hold up against Milton.
Nothing potentially like this, a storm surge up to 15 feet, has happened in our lifetimes.
That's right.
How much does that concern you?
Well, I think the hospital's ready, right? It's concerning, but I think we're ready.
And David, this Tampa neighborhood is one of many now almost deserted as people are leaving. Counties are also offering buses to help take people to shelters. We spoke to some families here who rode out the storm during Hurricane Helene, but this time they tell us they are evacuating, not taking any chances with all of this dangerous debris and the potential threat of a 15-foot storm surge. David?
Yeah, that debris just from Hurricane Helene weeks ago. Whit Johnson, they're facing this next hurricane again with thank you. And as I mentioned off the top here tonight, millions heeding the call to evacuate. Families finding themselves now stuck in traffic. Hundreds of gas stations now running out of fuel tonight. Tanker trucks carrying that fuel, getting police escorts now. Victor Oquendo in Sarasota tonight on that part of the story.
Tonight, police in Florida driving through neighborhoods, warning residents to leave while they still can.
Quickly secure your home or business and safely evacuate the area.
The race to escape slowed by traffic jams and long lines for gas. More than 1,300 stations statewide running out of fuel, according to Gas Buddy.
It's been I would say, a tremendous task to get gas.
There is a desperate struggle to find fuel. Some gas stations, like this one in Sarasota, dry their pumps wrapped in plastic to protect from water damage.
State troopers now escorting tankers to resupply gas stations. For the second time in 2 weeks, Jan Holman evacuating her home of 18 years in the historic fishing village of Cortez, Florida.
What did the neighborhood look like after Helene?
It's kind of heartbreaking.
Hurricane Helene flooded her home with nearly 3 feet of water.
Helene did so much damage here, and now here comes Milton. What's that like, that 1-2 punch?
It's like, are you kidding me? How can that happen? We're just praying that something changes at the last minute.
Her trunk now packed to the brim, evacuating again.
David, we just arrived at this gas station, one of the few in Sarasota with any fuel left, but it is drying up quickly, and the line here is only growing as the window to evacuate quickly closes. David?
Let's hope those families get the gas that they need. Victor Oquendo, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee, back with us live from Tampa again tonight. Ginger, I know you've been studying this latest forecast in from the Hurricane Center. What's the current timing here? How big do they think the hurricane will actually be when it hits?
Yeah, David, with the center currently supposed to go over Sarasota, we would have offshore winds for Tampa Bay. But you can see Tampa Bay behind me. With an east wind, this peninsula, St. Pete, gets incredible surge still. So we're still keeping that 10 to 15 feet around here, which we'll get to all of it. Let's look at the satellite image because it has been wild to watch this thing evolve over the last couple of days. It's just north of the Yucatan Peninsula. It's about 450 miles to my southwest here in Tampa. So it's moving east-northeast. It will get picked up in this trough, and that's also going to kind of add some wind shear, which is going to take down the category, right? That's why it goes from a 5 down to a 3. But Cat 3 at landfall, pushing that much water for that long is a big deal. Look at Thursday afternoon right there at Melbourne. It's just exiting. So 12 hours of this terrorizing the center part of Florida. Have to show you the hurricane warnings all the way from Daytona to Vero Beach, Orlando, Lakeland, Tampa, Sarasota, and Fort Myers included. Also the surge. You mentioned the 10 to 15, but Fort Myers, they upped it. And I think that was the right thing to do. 8 to 12 feet, 5 to 8 for Naples, and 2 to 5 includes Jacksonville. Now, we want to show you quickly the timing. We've got this short-term model showing a 115 mile per hour wind speed, David, at St. Pete Beach at 11 p.m. tomorrow night. I think we're going to see a lot of wind damage, and also up to 18 inches of rain could cause inland flash flooding.
Well, let's hope that wind shear knocks this down, but Ginger, as you've taught us along the way, don't be fooled. Category 5, Category 3, it still does an enormous amount of damage. Ginger Zee back with us tonight. I'll see you right there in Florida, Ginger, tomorrow night. Tonight with Hurricane Milton now fast approaching, just days after Hurricane Helene, of course, slammed into the U.S. Former President Trump targeting FEMA again today, just as millions try to recover from this. Vice President Kamala Harris blasting Trump for spreading dangerous misinformation. And what she said about this today. Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, with Florida bracing for a monster storm, as Georgia and North Carolina reel from the effects of the last one, Vice President Kamala Harris blasting Donald Trump for spreading falsehoods about FEMA, which has been on the ground for days. Harris appearing today on ABC's The View.
What do you think the effect of these lies are, and why is he doing this?
Well, it's profound, and it is the height of irresponsibility and, frankly, callousness. Yeah. I fear that he really lacks empathy on a very basic level, to care about the suffering of other people and then understand the role of a leader is not to beat people down, it's to lift people up.
Absolutely.
Especially in a time of crisis.
But today, Trump again talking about FEMA.
They said that there was just no FEMA. You virtually don't see anybody from FEMA.
But our team has been on the ground in the storm zone for days, personally witnessing the efforts of FEMA and the National Guard. Homeowners who have told us FEMA has been there to help them. Today, President Biden accusing Trump of misleading people and creating panic.
That's going to sound, use an old phrase, it's un-American. It really is. People are scared to death. People know their lives are at stake. All that they've worked for, all that they own, all that they value.
David, 4 weeks ago, and this race is still locked in a dead heat, but a new New York Times Siena poll out tonight is showing some movement. Vice President Kamala Harris holding a slight lead over Donald Trump at 49%, the former president at 46%. Also notable tonight, it's the first time this poll has shown more voters view Harris as the candidate representing change, 46% to 44% for Donald Trump, David.
Rachel Scott, always good to have you in person here at the desk. Thanks, Rachel. We're also following this breaking news from the Justice Department at this hour. They said late today that they have thwarted an alleged terror plot targeting Election Day right here in the U.S. Let's get right to our Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas. Pierre, what have you learned?
David, it's a new potentially chilling terror plot stopped by the FBI. The Justice Department charging 27-year-old Nasir Ahmad Tahiti, an Afghan national living in Oklahoma, with plotting to kill Americans on Election Day on behalf of ISIS. According to newly unsealed charges, Tahiti and a juvenile were arrested yesterday after attempting to buy 2 AK-47 assault rifles, 10 magazines, and 500 rounds of ammunition from undercover FBI operatives. When he was arrested, DOJ claims Tahiti confirmed the attack was planned for Election Day, targeting large gatherings of people during which he and the juvenile were expected to die as martyrs. DOJ officials say the investigation intensified after the FBI searched Tahiti's phone and discovered communication with an Afghan ISIS recruiter. David?
Pierre Thomas with the late headline from the Justice Department. Pierre, thank you. We're going to turn now to that new reporting from journalist Bob Woodward, his new book called War. The veteran reporter writing that during the early days of the pandemic, while it was raging here in the U.S., that then President Trump secretly sent a number of those rare COVID test machines to Vladimir Putin for Putin's personal use. Tonight, Trump is denying that claim to our Jon Karl.
As the COVID pandemic was raging and the government could not produce enough tests for the American people, then President Donald Trump secretly sent rare COVID test machines to Russia, to Vladimir Putin, for the dictator's personal use. That's according to Bob Woodward in a soon-to-be-published book called War. Woodward writes that Putin told Trump to keep it a secret, saying, quote, "I don't want you to tell anybody because people will get mad at you, not me." Kamala Harris seized on Woodward's new reporting today, talking about it in an interview with Howard Stern.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests, the COVID test kits.
Couldn't get them.
Couldn't get them.
Right.
Couldn't get them anywhere.
Right.
And this guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use? This person who wants to be president again, who secretly is helping out an adversary when the American people are dying by the hundreds every day and in need of relief.
Trump often boasts about his close relationship with Putin.
I got along very well with Putin. I spoke to him a lot. Then they say how nice I was to Russia. No, I wasn't nice, but we got along. We had a good relationship, which is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Woodward also reports that Trump has had, quote, multiple phone calls with Putin since he left the White House, including at least one call earlier this year. I spoke to Trump today, and he denied it all.
He said was that you've had a number of conversations with Putin. Is that true? I mean, I imagine that could be. No?
That's false.
Oh, really?
That's false.
So you haven't spoken to him since you left the White House?
No, I have not.
And the other.
I also asked him about those COVID tests. He denied that too.
And the other thing he said is that you had provided some Abbott test machines to Putin back during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, false.
Trump also had some choice words for Woodward, calling him a storyteller who, quote, lost his marbles. Woodward, though, is one of the most respected journalists of our times. And as you know, David, Trump has frequently praised Vladimir Putin and boasted about having a good relationship with the Russian dictator. David?
Jon Karl with us tonight. John, thanks. Overseas to the war in the Middle East tonight, Israel's military expanding their ground assault in southern Lebanon now, deploying thousands more troops, working to clear Hezbollah from the border with Israel. Troops raising the Israeli flag in this village along the Lebanese border. Israel has assassinated now almost all of Hezbollah's top officials. Today, a surviving leader vowing to fight on, but also calling for a ceasefire. Tonight, the U.S. State Department skeptical of Hezbollah's signaling that it now wants that ceasefire. When we come back on this busy news night, more than a dozen states suing TikTok, what they say it does to our nation's children. Also, the high-profile mugging tonight, the Dodgers starting pitcher mugged by a mob of thieves, what they stole, and what it'll soon cost to buy a MegaMillions ticket in a moment. Tonight, with TikTok's future in the U.S. already at stake, 14 states are now suing TikTok. The states accusing the Chinese-owned company of intentionally creating an addictive social media app they say dangerous to the mental health of children. A federal law will ban TikTok in the U.S. in January unless it's sold to a government-approved owner. The company says the app is safe for young people. When we come back tonight, the Dodgers star pitcher mugged, what the thieves stole. And tonight here we remember a beloved baseball great. To the index of other news tonight, police are investigating a mugging involving Dodgers pitcher Walker Buehler. He and his wife were at the Santa Anita Park last month when he says they were surrounded by a mob of thieves, one of them stealing his $100,000 watch. Buehler is scheduled to start tonight's playoff game against the Padres. A passing to note tonight, beloved former baseball star Louis Tiant has died, one of the game's most charismatic pitchers. Known for his trademark wind-up, turning his back to the batter, he played for 6 teams in his 19-year career, including Cleveland, the Red Sox, the Yankees. Louis Tiant was 83. Tonight, MegaMillions making some big changes. Beginning in April, the cost of a lottery ticket will more than double from $2 to $5. Lottery officials also say, though, they're improving the odds of winning. We'll see. When we come back tonight, this Category 5 hurricane barreling toward the U.S., what they think could happen to this hurricane right before it hits. So we'll go back to Ginger, who will explain this in a moment here. All right, before we go tonight, let's get right back to Ginger with the latest track for Hurricane Milton. As I mentioned, now a Category 5 hurricane again at this hour. But Ginger, we're hoping that some shear will take the strength of this hurricane at least down a bit.
Yes, it has to, but that won't necessarily take down the impacts. And that's a really important point, David, because that wind shear with the trough that's also going to drive it to the northeast eventually here, that is going to also cut down the top of it, but not all that bubble of push of water. That's why we keep talking surge. Now, timing-wise, that surge comes in tomorrow afternoon, really bad about midnight before landfall early Thursday morning. And look, 12 hours later, it's still cutting across Melbourne, just making it into the Atlantic by Thursday afternoon. David.
The heart of this storm Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Ginger will be watching you first thing in the morning on GMA. Thank you again tonight. I'll be reporting from the hurricane zone starting tomorrow night from Florida. I'll see you then. I'm David Muir. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.